So I own a camera, the trusty 800D. It is hardly something someone would rave about, but it is a camera that I enjoy. I also wanted to buy a new camera, specifically the R7. It's mirrorless and it is crop sensor. So I decided I would just buy the R7, no lens, and try it out with the Kit 55-250 EF-s lens. Are they any good on the R7? Do they hold up? Or is it just not a good enough quality lens to take good photos? What I classify as good is good enough for me, maybe my friends and family, the odd Instagram post. Let's find out with some testing if they hold up. So, the very obvious thing I'm going to point out is I've already taken the R7 for a spin. I went to our local park called Hagley Park. I took some photos. I took like 700 photos. It was a blast. There is not a single reason I will want to go back to the 800D now that I've utilised the R7. And that is with the EF-s kit lens and the EF-s 55-50mm lens. It works. You don't need to watch the rest. However, I've taken some sample pictures, what I would call the best pictures I've ever taken with my 800D, my standard, and the best photos I took from my first 2 hours of owning the R7. They're not the same. The R7 is a very good camera. I took a few comparison photos using the 1855 EF-s lens, that is the kit lens that comes with the 800D. And I didn't like it. It wasn't any better than, well, anything really. It worked. I also took most of my photos with this lens currently on the 800D, which is the EF-s 55-250. It is a cheap lens. I got the 55-250 EF-s lens probably a week or two after I purchased the 800D camera. The range on the kit lens just isn't there, and at $300-400 when I purchased it, it seemed like a fantastic idea, and I use it for everything. I used the lens on the R7 with the EOS R to EF adapter, and it just worked. I would not have known that there was an adapter in the way. It was fantastic. I'm going to put a couple of photos up of what I took on the day with the R7. As I continue to talk, you'll see that I would call these perfectly acceptable. I don't know if I'd ever enter them into a competition, however, I'm not comfortable entering anything I take into a competition. That's something I will do when I consider myself good enough. For the time being, I just take photos and enjoy looking at them myself. The Canon R7 with the 55-250 has given me an absolutely great time. I can recommend it. You can now see the photos going across the screen of the 800D that I've taken over the last 5 years. They're just the best 3 shots in my opinion. I wouldn't say that they're super sharp or again that you put them into a competition, but I like them. I photograph for fun. It's a hobby. There's no money or pressure to do it. So if it's good enough for me, it is good enough as an end result. Now, I am going to point out one thing outside of my intentions of this video, and that is I really have to point out how good the tracking is on the R7. I'm going to put a sequence of photos across the screen and you'll see the bird, though not perfectly sharp, because again I was not using the adequate lens. I was using the 1855 at that point in time. Still tracked it behind a tree really well. It's a good camera. I highly recommend it, and if anyone's holding off on buying the R7 because they don't know if they're EF-s lenses, maybe you've got the 55-50, maybe you've just got a kit lens, maybe you've got something else. There is not a single drawback that I have found around using EF-s lenses on the Canon EOS R7. But I don't know what I'm missing out by not having an RF-s lens. So if that's you, you have lots of EF-s lenses, you might have an 800D, my wife has a 200D. It's a good camera. There's not a single thing about it I don't recommend. So if you're on the fence, just get one, if you can find one, and you've got the money. It's not a cheap camera. It is probably what I would classify as a professional / enthusiast camera. The EOS 800D is probably more akin to an entry level / enthusiast. It's not a 1500D, or I think this is now the 4000D. I've never seen it, I've just seen the odd review about it. It's a little bit better than that. But having now taken 2 hours worth of photos, 750 photos with the R7, I don't want to use the 800D anymore. So on that note, I'll quickly just put those photos again side by side and let you guys decide for yourselves. I think the EF-s lenses are worth it. Now, if you've actually made it this far through the video, thank you very much. This is my first video on this channel. I do have another channel which I used to use for the odd gaming video and the odd unusual thing, but this is actually a plan. I have a target, I have a goal, a video a month, different things, something, I'm not going to say necessarily entertaining, but something that can provide information or learning, or sometimes a laugh. We'll see what happens. When I'm in front of a camera, unusual things tend to happen. But if you have made it this far, I appreciate it very much. Please consider subscribing and liking. I don't know how the YouTube algorithm works in the slightest. To be honest, I don't think I really care. I do this for fun, not for money. However, if you are able to subscribe, I would very much appreciate it. So on that note, thank you very much for watching, and I wish you a very good night.